Congratulations to Ray Guy, who was something very special and is something very special as a person, but was something very special as a football player. I remember when we drafted him with the Oakland Raiders, and we took Ray Guy #1. Everyone said, how can you draft a punter #1? And we said, because he's not only the best punter in the draft, he's the best punter that's ever punted a football. And you know something about that draft? That was the least amount of arguments that we had in any draft that I can remember. I mean, if we had a consensus, everyone in the room, Al Davis, the owner, Ron Wolf, who was a director of player personnel, all the coaches, everyone agreed that this guy should be the #1 pick. And then he went on to prove it. I mean, he could do everything. I mean, he was not only a punter, he would kick off. He was a great athlete. And he could catch the ball. He could do all those things that the great ones had to do. And it helped us so much. I remember that, we felt that it helped our offense, because I used to tell our quarterback after we had Ray Guy, I said, if it gets third down, just throw the ball away. The worst thing we have to do is let Ray Guy kick it. That's pretty good. And then Ray Guy would punt it, and he would help our defense. And he was one of our most valuable players in all those years with the Raiders. And I think that, sometimes, he's a little forgotten in the history of pro football. But Ray Guy will be in the Hall of Fame someday. Ray Guy should be in the Hall of Fame someday. And Ray Guy is the best punter that ever punted a football. Congratulations.
Greetings, people of Earth, and welcome to the third floor in our new show, NFL's Top 5 of All Time, Wednesday night show. Tomorrow night we have the pregame before the Niners and Rams will be here. We'll be doing our thing. So here we go. We got a brand new show for you. Yeah, I got a brand new show for you, kind of explain to you what's going on here. When you do top 5s, top 10s, everybody, look, this is perfect time for interaction with you, the audience, as you come in and you see this. This is a top 5 of all time punters. We're starting with punters. We're going to do punters, kickers, tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, and the top defenses. All the top 5s of all time that I have seen play. Okay? There are no current players on any of these lists because they're just not eligible yet. Okay? If they're still playing, they can't be the greatest of all time. But with that being said, the list contains probably names of people you have not ever heard of, or you've heard of but just really never paid attention to. These guys in our first show here with punters is quintessential to the history of the game. Because prior to what we're living in now in this era, punters aren't what they used to be. The punter was probably he was the third most important player on your team. Your quarterback, your kicker, and your punter were very, very important back in them days, especially in the 70s when I started watching football. The key to it was that the game was different. It wasn't a passing league yet. Yes, there were passes, but if you go back and look, you want to see some really crazy, go look at Bob Greasy's Super Bowl game where they won when they completed the year, the undefeated year. Go check out his numbers those years. Check out his game stats. 7 for 12, 85 yards. Passing wasn't that essential, man. It was all defense and a running game. You had to run the ball for success. You had to have a defense for success. Your main key on defense was stop the run. Stop the run. So when we get to the defenses, people are going to be like, really? When we get to wide receivers, people are going to be like, really? Quarterbacks? Really? Tight ends will probably surprise you. Kickers are really going to surprise you. But I think where the most surprise will come is from a very unheralded position in football, that being the punter. Punter back in them days, like I said, there was a thing called the coffin corner. Some guys were artist at it. Could drop the ball in between the 10 and the 5 or the 5 and the goal line. These guys were artists. It used to be beautiful to watch. There used to be a thing called hang time, which was invented by one of our punters on the list. Hang time was actually created because of him. They actually even tested the ball a couple times after a game to see if they were putting helium in it because they couldn't believe the hang time that he was getting. There's a couple guys on our list with hang time. There's other guys on the list with accuracy and hang time. There's other guys on our list that were pure accurate. I think what you got to take into account, and we'll get into it as we break down this top 5, is that the numbers, the stats, they're so they just don't look right for football because no one pays attention to what the stats are of a punter. So that's why I said, well, if we're going to do the top 5 show, I got the list already made. Why don't we just start with the punter, the guy who really doesn't get what he used to get. Back in the day, you played, your special teams was all around the opponent's punter, regardless of who it was. There were some great punters back in the day. But what we're going to do here is we're going to take the top 5. I'll give you their history, break it down. If you got a top 5 punters, put it up there in the comments. Live chat. If you're just dropping in, the live chat's up, I think. Let's get things organized real quick. I set this show up. This show took about 4 days of research to get it down to where I was satisfied with it. So, okay, let's see. We got all right. Let's see. We got the chat up. All right. Chat's working on YouTube. Yep. Okay. And we'll just put one of them in there for fucking howdy doody. All right. So you want to get in here and get with the live chat? There it is. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. And we are on X. Sorry, we're not on X yet. We are not on X. Scratch that. I have to upload to that. So, all right, that's working. Got the tickers going. We're gonna get the list going in just 1 second. I just got to make one quick move here. If you've been watching the show, you realize I'm down a mouse. So if you can, help out so I can buy another mouse. I'm short 2 mouses here. So if you could help out, that's where you go. And don't forget them people that help out. It's the holidays. It's the Christmas season. You got W Energy drink. It is awesome. Try the What Am I? That is my favorite because you never know what kind of flavor you're getting. Christiana's Designer Handbags, Bowser Bros Painting, and Reaper Apparel Company. Get in there in the description. Everything's in the links. Go visit Johnny Basement. Go visit Johnny Basement in the basement. Make sure you behave yourselves. All right, let's get things going here so we know what we're doing. Just want to make sure we got everything working here. Okay, there you go. I guess we'll do one of these because it's cool. So there you go. You can see the chat's working in Rumble and the chat's working on YouTube. So wherever you're at, chat away. We'll get back to you. Even if I got to switch mouses. even if I got to switch mouses. All right, let's get the show rolling. We're going to get going with the NFL's top 5 punters of all time that I have ever seen play. Let's see, who's first on our list? I think the list is very interesting, and I think most of you guys will appreciate it very much. First on our list is the great Sean Landeta. Sean hung around for a long time in the NFL. That's for damn sure. Sean Landeta was a fixture. No, these numbers are not. These are real numbers. You talked about the longevity of players in the NFL, man. Punters and kickers, they have the longest, and Sean proved that with his longevity. He's number 5 on our list. You'll see his numbers rolling down there. Give you a brief background. I used to see him play a lot because being home living in Jersey, the Giants were always on TV. We got every game, no matter where. So very familiar with Sean Landeta, an amazing punter. His technique to punting and what he was as a punter was he was a field marshal. It was basically wherever the coach told him he needed that ball to set up the defense. That's pretty much what Sean Landeta did on a consistent basis. I mean, his net yards, 35.3 for his career. Here's where the numbers, they don't sound great, but they are if you think about it. First of all, always remember that the punter stats start at the line of scrimmage, not where he's punting it. It's not like place kicking. Of course, when a field goal guy goes up and he's kicking, it's marked at the yard line. When a punter is kicking, it's marked from the line of scrimmage. So there's 10 or 12 yards that aren't even involved in what they're talking about for average because they're averaging it from the line of scrimmage. So that's why some of these numbers are they seem low and not impressive. But if you think about it in the placement of the field where these guys are kicking from, especially Sean, especially when he was with the Giants would drive and they get the ball at the 50. So if he's averaging 32, you're inside the 20, and his inside the 20 numbers were outstanding too. I mean, he did an awful lot, and he's withstood the test of time. Played against some great teams. I remember him going to the Eagles. I remember him coming to Tampa Bay. I was kind of excited when he got to Tampa Bay. Didn't last too long here, but that was Sean. Just go over Sean's real quick. Sean is a 2-time Super Bowl winner. We all know that. What else we got from him? He is a Hall of Fame all-time 80s and 90s team. Sean led the league in 94 with a 44.8 average. He led the league in punts in 99 with 107. He had 284 games with 1,401 punts for 60,707 yards. He had 6 blocked in his career. He netted 35.3 in the regular season. Like I said about these guys, when they would put the ball inside the 20, and again, think about field position, where to kick it from, put his average in there. There's a lot to put into a punter. So when you hear the number 381 of his punts landed inside the 20, that's given him a 27.2% of his punts are landing inside the 20. And his touchback, 166 touchbacks, is still pretty impressive for the amount of punts that he put up. Sean Landeta was definitely one of those guys who when he came on the field, it wasn't just a guy punting the ball down the field. There was more to it. There was a strategy behind it. And for those years with Sean, watching him on the Giants, and then when he got traded I don't remember if he got traded or he just free agent out of the Giants, and the Eagles signed him. And it was tough watching him come back because you got to see, you had to play him twice. He was very familiar with Giants Stadium. And that's another key factor to this whole thing about Sean, especially being on this list and topping off at number 5, our first one of the top 5 here. His ability to kick in the Meadowlands. I mean, that was enough. And then go to Veterans Stadium because he played in the old Philly Stadium, Veterans Stadium, which was not an easy place to kick on any grounds. It wasn't even a place. It wasn't even easy to run there. Same with the Meadowlands, the same thing there. But yeah, Sean was a beast. He was a beast of a punter. Um, it was great to watch him play, and that's why he's number 5 on our list. The great Sean Landetta. What did Sean play for? Sean played for the Giants, the Cardinals, the Eagles, the Packers 1 year, and for Tampa Bay for 1 year. So Sean made his way around the league, but his longevity is basically it's up there with everybody on this list. Has had an amazing amount of games played. Had an amazing just a sense of the game that was just it's kind of hard to explain if you didn't understand the era of the 70s and into the 80s, the development of technology as far as coverage was whatever, but equipment was getting better, the field was getting better, the medical response on the sideline was getting better. Things were evolving. And with everything evolving, your punters had to become bigger, your punters had to become stronger. It was that kind of thing. So this next guy on our list, he didn't fit that bill at all. He did not fit that. He didn't fit the bill at all. He hardly looked like a player. I shouldn't say that. He just didn't look the part. Number 4 on our list of the all-time punters in the NFL, the amazing Dave Jennings. Jet fans, Giant fans, I'm sure you remember. There's no way you cannot. This guy, I watched basically his entire career because he never left New York. The thing was that when Sean left the Giants and went to the Jets, it's kind of a funny story, but he never changed. He never changed his locker. His locker was the same because the Jets were home. They had the home locker, and the Giants had a home locker. They never changed his locker. I think all they did was change the insignia above it for that week's game. But yeah, that was Dave Jennings. Dave played for the Giants from 1974 to 1984, and he played with the Jets from 1985 to 1987. Now, his career was kind of short, but again, he was different. He was different. And of everybody on this list, Jennings was the most dangerous punter. How do you get a dangerous punter? Consistency throughout the game. When he was on, and you weren't going to return it. He was going to pin you inside the 20. Most of the times, Jennings had a habit of putting you inside the 10. He was amazing to watch. And again, this guy spent his whole career in the Meadowlands. Again, not easy place to kick. Just not. And you got Buffalo twice. You're playing in rough weather, rough fields, rough stadiums. So that's why you got to appreciate a guy like Dave Jennings. Like I said, he really didn't look the part. But coming off his foot, the ball knew what he was doing with the ball. He was quick. He was very quick for a punter too. But again, the most impressive thing about Jennings was his amazing streaky accuracy to pin you. It's one of those things that if you didn't see it happen, it's hard to appreciate sometimes. Thank goodness for YouTube, because you go back and watch all these games. You'll pretty much find any game that ever played from even in the 70s. There is a guy I found on YouTube, Bart Simpson. It's his name. So, I mean, if you search it there, you go to his channel, it's nothing but NFL. and he's got full games all the way back. Some of the games actually have commercials in it, which is even cool too to watch sometimes. But Dave Jennings, a little bit on Dave. He was a four times to the Pro Bowl, and he was a 2-time All Pro. Dave Jennings led the league in 1979 with 104 punts. He led the league in 1979 with 4,445 yards punting. He led the league in 1980 with 4,211 yards punting. And in 1980, he also led the league with a 44.8 average. 44.8 average. It's half the field, man. So it really didn't matter where you were when he was kicking it. You were pretty much halfway down the field from where you're getting the ball. Again, just an amazing player. You had to see it. He was a good interview. He was good with the press in New York, which is, again, not easy to do. Dave unfortunately died at a very young age of 61. And I say that very young age at 61 because I am 61 right now. Dave passed away on June 19th of 2013 at 61 years old. A tough loss for the NFL, but we were blessed to have him. Again, an incredible talent for a very unheralded position in the sport. And let's also take this into consideration too about Dave Jennings playing for the Jets and playing for the Giants. He played in some of the most intense rivalries there ever were in football. Giants, Cowboys, Giants, Redskins, Giants, Eagles, the division itself. And again, with the Jets, Buffalo, Miami, New England. That's a pretty tough schedule to have for your entire career, never leaving New York, especially with the history of both of those ball clubs. Dave Jennings, number 4 on our list of the top 5 of all time. Punters. Thank you, Dave. Again, just a great guy, great human being. Now we get into an interesting character on our list. Probably one of the more flamboyant. He's the most flamboyant one because he was this cat was shot out of a cannon, for sure. He had incredible numbers. He had a cannon of a foot, just a cannon. The unbelievable Shane Bleckler. Another guy who made his way around the NFL. Sorry, there he is. Another guy that made his way around the NFL. Let's see. 17 years is quite a long time. Quite a long time. And somehow I missed a picture of him. I thought something was missing. Found the missing picture. My bad. Man, I came so close to having that perfect. Oh, there he is. Oh, what happened over here? Uh-oh. I think this is what I'm looking for. Hey, I got it. Yeah, like I said, Shane made his way all the way around the league. Started with the Raiders. He was a beast with the Raiders. Ended with the Texans. 17 years in the NFL playing football. That's a long time, man. God, hats off to him. 17 years in the NFL, starting in 2000. Again, this guy is the epitome of the next generation of punters that you're seeing now. This is the guy right here who started what you are seeing now out of the elite punters. Pat McAfee, ever heard of him? Colts, yeah, got his own show, #1 podcasting on YouTube and whatever. This is the guys that he looked up to. These are the guys that he was that he was emulating his game for, or idolized, whatever you want to call it. He looked up to. These were his inspirations. This is the guy that started that generation. Shane, when I tell you the guy had a cannon, he's one of the few punters in the history of the game where when he punted the ball, you heard it explode off his foot. You really did. And this is another guy, especially in his first couple of years with the Raiders, was was leaving some balls in the air for quite some time. You know, he kind of brought back hang time as a thing for it to be important. And again, this guy was another beast as far as when it came time to pinning people. Coffin corner, like I said, was pretty much a thing of the past. Once the early '90s, the coffin corner kind of went out, but through the '70s and the '80s, the coffin corner was very important, and guys would just litter the field, not being able to. But those guys on our list were artists at it, especially inside the five. That's the toughest spot. I wish they kept that stat. You know, we see pretty much where you get the high touchbacks, how many balls actually either went in or just bounced in. Think of how many of them. So when you get guys like this who become artists, you know, again, you have to create around them. Most of the time, when you came in with a Leckler, when you came in with Dave Jennings, when you came in with Sean Landetta, and then the two remaining guys on our list, you really didn't worry too much about blocking, return blocking on punts, because your chances of return were pretty much slim and none. And if you did get the return, you weren't going far because of the hang time that these guys would do. Especially covering that many yards. So again, another guy on our list who is just beyond impressive to watch him play. Um, he had a lot of magic moments. We'll run it down for you real quick here. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame all-time 2000 and 2010 teams. He led the league in 2003 with 4,503 yards. He led the league in 2003 with a 46.9 average. He led the league in 2004 with a 46.7 average. He led the league in 2005 with a 45.7 average. He led the league in 2007 with a 49.1 average. He led the league in 2008 with 4,391 yards. He led the league in 2009 with 4,009 yards. 2009, he also had a 51.1 average. That's right. He's 51.1 average. 2009. And in 2017, his final year, his farewell tour, he led the league in his last season with 4,507 yards. Plenty. Just an amazing, amazing career. When you talk about longevity, you got to start talking about Shane Leckler. And he is number 3 on our list of the all-time greatest punters of all time. Getting down to it, folks. We are now down to the final 2 on our list. The final 2 on our list. Before we get to our final 2 on the list, I'm going to run this real quick. Just so you know, to keep you up to date on our weekly picks real quick. And unfortunately, we take a break at before we get to number 2 and number 1, we got to tease you for a minute, okay? Sorry about that, but that's just the way it goes. There's our sponsors up top. Picks at the bottom. Pay more attention to the sponsors up top first. You can get to that later. Let that run for a minute. I just want to really quick for a message out there. It's the holiday season. It's time to save. It's time to get ready to get back into a whole new groove, a whole new feeling. America's feeling better. Everybody's feeling better. So why not check out my sponsors that you're watching me They are here. They are offering their savings onto you big time. They may not seem like the greatest gift in the world, but I'm telling you, when you boil it down, these are great gifts. The wife's designer handbags, no two bags are alike. Go to her link on it's in the description. Go to the webpage on the thirdfloor.com. Hit the merchant link. You'll see the pictures of her bags. There's a link in there. You can contact her on email. If you see something, let her know right away. We'll get back to you. Bowser Bros Painting. You know the stipulation on that. Berkeley, Sacramento, San Francisco areas only. Hit them up. People, you listen. I know I got people on the East Coast that listen to me. People people in India. I don't know how I got people in India listening. Midwest. I look at the analytics, so you're out there. You might have a relative here that's looking for it. Okay, give them a call and save big on a paint job for your house, inside or out. That's savings. W Energy Drink, gamers, podcasters. This is our boy, man. We're their ambassadors. They wanted ambassadors. Here I am. I'm giving them an ambassador. W. What am I? Try that. Go in the description. Hit my link to save on a referral. Hit my link to save on a discount for your first order. 20%, 15%. Get in there now. Okay. Check it out. It's in the descriptions. Saving you big money. They got more than just the energy drink. They got merchandise too. Check out their merchandise. And last but not least, Reaper Apparel Company. Check them out in the description. Their prices are cool to begin with, but with my referral link and the discount link, you're going to save big time. And there's something there for everybody on your list. Check it out. Reaper Apparel Company. Description, they're all in there. Please check it out. And if you can, a cup of coffee. That's all we're asking for here on the third floor. If you can help donate to the show, we got PayPal in the description. We got Cash App. It's in the description. You're on Rumble. We got Rant. We're on YouTube. I don't know what we got going. But if you could help the show, there's two ways to do it. Cash App, PayPal. And we would love it. I could buy a mouse. If somebody donates and helps out the show, we can keep on going. Other than that, we're down to 2 mouses. And not easy to do. So let's keep it going. Okay, folks? I love you all. It's the holiday season. This is a new beginning. Get in the spirit to give. Save money with the sponsors. If you could help the show, we also appreciate that. Just go in the description after you're done watching the show and check out every link I got in there, because every link leads to something good. Now, back to the show. Back to the show. We are going to number 2 on our all-time list of the greatest greatest punters of all time. Besides the guy who's number 1, this is my second favorite on the list of players in the NFL. He's one of my top players that I've ever seen play. I don't even know how to describe him, man. He was something different. He was something that the NFL never seen before, and quite personally, they never will see anything like this guy again. This guy was absolutely an innovator of punting. He did what I never seen a punter do what he does, or how he did it. I don't know. But without further ado, the great late Reggie Roby. I would feel that most of the people who watch here are probably this generation, getting into it and remembering and know who Reggie Roby is. Other people who do not know Reggie Roby, and you're saying, why is he number 2 on this list? Who is that guy? Well, this is where I hate to say it, but you know what? If you don't know who Reggie Roby is, you don't belong watching football. You really don't. Reggie Roby, to this day, I have still never heard a ball come off anybody's foot like his. It sounded like a gun. It sounded like a shotgun. It sounded like a howitzer. It was thunderous. You could. It sometimes it would be as loud as the guys on the mic in the booth. You would just hear. Poof. I mean, if you're gonna, after you're done watching this, I'm sure maybe some of you want to check out these guys. Even before you go to our number one guy, which I highly suggest, make sure you do. But check him out, or make sure when you're watching these guys, you do not miss Reggie Roby. To appreciate Reggie, let's put it this way: we lost Reggie at a very, very young age of 42. It was Reggie was something very special. He was on and off the field was just an amazing human being. Uh, Kind of like a Doug Williams type guy, very humble, very, very just just one of them guys, man. Just a human being deep down. Uh, Anything for the kids of the community, for for the communities that he was in. Uh, Reggie played for Miami from 1983 to 1992. Played with Washington from 1993 to 1994. I was blessed to have him on Tampa Bay in 1995. 96 he went to Houston. 97 Tennessee, and 98 his final year played for the 49ers. Uh, yeah, he like I said, I was blessed to have Reggie on my team. Why is it so hard to do, Reggie? It was so cool to have Reggie on the Bucks. I mean, he looks great in that uniform. Look where that leg is, folks. That's 95. And this one here, I'm not too sure of. They got I believe that's a 50 on the helmet, so they were doing. But the thing is, look at his leg there. Look at his legs. I swear to God, I thought it would just spin around. I thought it just went like a windmill. It was amazing. The thunderous boot of Reggie Roby. I can almost hear it now, to be honest with you. This is actually one of those guys I get a little choked up when I think about. That Walter Payton class, losing him so young. Losing Reggie that young. But Reggie Roby was just above and beyond, man. And if it wasn't for the guy who is number one on this list, this would be my pick in number one. His numbers don't seem impressive in a way, but if you really look into his numbers, you'll understand. And the teams he played for, he played with Dan Marino, man. So not too many drives stalled at the 10 or the 20 of their own. They were a little upfield. So it was hard to explain. His hang time was insane. He didn't need to pin you inside the 20. He didn't need to kick it to the outside or, on the sidelines. He didn't have to go this way. He just went straight up and down the field. And most of the time, guys were standing there before the ball came down and for the guy to even catch it. That's how devastating he was. Reggie Roby, definitely a cut above the rest. Definitely probably one of the more elite, special human beings with a God-given talent, and he did it right. Reggie Roby definitely did it right. And again, was very sad that we lost Reggie at such a young age. Reggie Roby, he led the league in 91 with a 45.7 average. He was born in July July 30th, 1961, and he died at 43 years old on February 22nd in 2005. Like I said, we broke down his numbers. Um, Again, this is a guy who I would highly suggest that you get in on YouTube and you type in the search Reggie Roby highlights and watch one of the most amazing football players that at his position that you'll ever see. And after watching him for about 5, maybe 10 minutes, you'll be like, well, I know why he's number 2. uh, Reggie Roby. Rest, rest in peace, Reggie. Rest in peace, buddy. You'd be number 1 if it wasn't for the next guy. Well, the next guy on our list, I'm sure all the big time NFL fans out there and historians of the past already know who number 1 is on this list, even before I even told you who was going to be number 1 on this list. I don't even think I have to. But I'm sure there's people out here that don't know who he is. So, number 1 on our list, he is the only punter in the Hall of Fame. The Punter of the Year award is named after him. He died in 2022 at 72 years old. This is the reason that we even keep punter stats. As a matter of fact, 1973, his first year, 1973, 1974, 1975. Well, you'll see on the ticker, there's stats that they didn't keep yet. And because of him, they started to have to keep those stats. He made it that he changed the game and created punting stats that we have today. They didn't even keep track of it. So when a ticker's going by and you're paying attention to his numbers, I included it in there just in case I get sidetracked. Pay attention to the stats that were not kept for 3 years that this guy was punting that don't exist because they just didn't keep the records. Raymond Guy. Ray Guy. The elite, the quintessential, the king, the most amazing punter ever is Ray Guy. You heard in the beginning, that was his coach. That was John Madden. We'll let the ticker roll. You could read it there. I know I forgot. I misspelled career. I forgot to change it. I did in the other one, but I forgot. So career. We'll check out his career. Whatever that is. I think you get the point. So don't bust my cayunes. 3-time Super Bowl champ, Hall of Fame All 70s team, seven-time Pro Bowl, 3-time All Pro. Like I said, the Punter of the Year award is named the Ray Guy Award. It's 74 when they still weren't keeping certain stats. So he started in 74 with this is his second year. 42.4 average, 1975, 43.8 average, 1977, 43.3 average. He had 470.5. So, damn. These numbers, I'm just looking at the numbers. I don't even know where to begin with this guy. In 1973, 1974, and 1975, inside the 20-yard line stats, along with return yards, net yards per punt, touchbacks, and blocks, were not even kept. So those stats didn't exist. So if you can figure out how to put or equate those numbers into the 3 years that they didn't keep it, his numbers are even more fucking impressive. He's kind of the Joe DiMaggio of punters. You're not going to catch him in things he did. He innovated and literally changed the game. changed the design of the game. When you talk about hang time, he created hang time. We're talking balls 7 to 8 seconds of hang time and more. When he first would hit it, I mean, after a couple of years, they were like, "Go check the ball." I think they're putting helium in. Balls were checked after he kicked it. After the ball came down, the guy fair caught it, handed it to the ref. The ref took it to the side and they analyzed it to see if there was fucking helium in the ball. They're like, "There's no helium in the ball. This cat is just something fucking different. This cat is like Madden said in the beginning of the like Madden said in the beginning, he's not the best punter in the league. He's the best punter ever. And there's not going to be another Ray Guy, and I highly believe that. And to this day, I still ain't seen nothing like Ray Guy. I mean, this guy was a quarterback with his foot, basically. What he could do with a ball and everything. You see, you son of a bitch. See that? That's in the Super Bowl against the Redskins. That could have changed the complexion of the game. A high snap. He goes up, gets it, comes down, and booms it, and hangs it for about, I think on that one, maybe 6.5 seconds, and they were about at midfield. So, again, he did his job right there. Ray Guy, step and boom. Again, this guy is a human highlight reel. Every time he punted the ball, it felt like something special was going to happen, and it did. And like I said, it did special 3 Super Bowls worth. And again, playing a long time, and he only played for the Raiders. Very, very few athletes in any sport, let alone football. You got your Derek Jeter in baseball for the Yankees. You got Ray Guy here for the Raiders. I know there's other guys out there who played their careers, but when you talk, Ray Guy is the greatest punter of all time in NFL, the greatest of all time in NFL history. Ray Guy, our number 1 punter of all time in the NFL. And again, losing a guy very young. Well, not young, 72 years young, but again, losing him was not easy. But the one thing that he did get to live to do was be enshrined in Canton, Ohio, as the only punter in the Hall of Fame. Ray Guy, number 8, a Raider forever, and our number 1 punter of all time. I don't think you could argue with it. That'd be a very hard argument to win, my friend, and I don't think you're going to win it. And I'm sure there's a lot of NFL fans who really know the game. Can appreciate what this guy meant, not just to the game, on and off the field, folks. All of these guys on and off the field were tremendous contributors to their communities. They touched lives outside of football as well, and they all stood for something very special. These guys here on this list, and this top 5 list, and the rest of the list that I'm going to do, these guys were elite. They were more than athletes. They're not these guys you have today. These guys love the game, and they also love to give back because God blessed them with a talent, and they were able to use it. Ray Guy, number 1 on our list of all-time greatest punters. Hard to argue with that. All right, Anthony. I see you there, Anthony. I think I can. Yeah, I don't have to. Sorry, when chat comes in, we got to respond. I don't know how long you're waiting, everybody, but I get on the rant and I just keep going. Sorry about that. Hey, welcome, Anthony. Thank you for showing up, buddy. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Okay, so we have our top 5 NFL punters of all time. that I've seen play. I'm going to keep saying that because I could honestly have this top 5 list right here stand up against anybody. You know, if you want to go back, you want to find somebody on a, you know, like a name on the radio or a name on the podcast or one of those big guys that make a lot of money. They'd have a hard time arguing with that list. I'll stand by that list. Sean Landetta, Dave Jennings, Shane Lettler, Reggie Roby, Ray Guy. And there's a guy, I'm going to give him his due. We're just going to give him an honorable mention here. This guy did something that no other punter ever did. And I don't think any punter ever will. It'd be kind of hard to do. Or, yeah, to come close to what this guy did, I don't think it's going to happen. Our honorable mention is another guy with a booming foot. Chris Gardocki. Chris Gardocki, pretty much known more or less for his years with the Steelers. Went some time with the Bears, time with Cleveland. Again, this guy had a thunder foot. Again, if we were doing a top 10, I'd probably put Chris around maybe 7th or 8th on the list, just because. He's an honorable mention on this, the top 5 of all time, because he did something that no other punter has ever done. And like I said, probably never will. Again, this is one of those Joe DiMaggio 56 game hitting streak ones. Folks, this is a tough one to do. So let's break down our honorable mention here, Chris Gardocki. We'll just go over it real quick. And you know what's really cool? Here's a trivia question for you, if anybody's out there. If anybody's paying attention. Here's a trivia question. And I didn't do this on the rest of the guys, but I did it for him. Chris went to Clemson, by the way. Chris, his college, he went to Clemson, by the way. He was born on February 7th, 1970, in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Sound familiar? Trivia question. What other famous person, or probably the most famous person from Stone Mountain, Georgia? Go ahead. Clock's ticking. 1991 to 2006. That's 16 years in the NFL. 91 to 94 with Chicago, 95 to 98 with the Colts, 99 to Cleveland, 99 to 2003, Pittsburgh 2004 to 2006. 244 games, 1,177 punts. That's a lot of punts. What do you do? Did you figure it out yet? Of course. If you're not familiar, again, punters have things too that people never know about. And there it goes, right there. As the ticker goes by, Gardocki never had a punt blocked in his NFL career. Let's see if I spell career right here. Big moment. Nope, misspelled career again. You'd think auto fucking spell would fucking work. Fucking thing. Yeah, fucking one too many R's. So his career, yeah, he never had a punt blocked. Think about that. Think about never having a punt blocked in the NFL, and you played 16 years and 244 games, plus a couple, plus a quick spell. Did he play in the postseason? Yeah, 14 games in the postseason. 14 games in the postseason. Not a block punt. 204. That's an honorable mention, and we give people their due. And Chris, there you go, Chris. There's your due. You have an honorable mention. Chris Gardocki, not on our list, but he is our honorable mention. So along with the top 5, after we're done with the top 5, we're going to have an honorable mention just to throw somebody in there with a crazy stat that has to pertain to that particular position that we are going over. Like I said, this week we did the punters. Next Wednesday, I'll let you know in a minute. I'll figure that out. But right now, what we're going to do is the other portion of our show. It's called the top NFL top 5 of all time. Position wise, like I said, we did punters, we got kickers, tight ends, wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, and defenses. Top 5 all time NFL coming up. That's what you got to look forward to. But this is the other portion of our show that's really cool is the NFL spotlight on a player from the past. I'll just pick somebody at random when I'm doing my stuff. And today we came up with the incredible Wilbert Montgomery. Anybody remember Wilbert Montgomery? Come on, somebody's got to remember Wilbert. Yeah, Wilbur played for the Eagles. Finished up his career with the. He finished up his career with the Lions. NFL Spotlight Player of the Week, Wilbert Montgomery. We take a look at Wilbert. Yeah, Wilbur played with the Eagles from 77 to 84 and finished up his career with Detroit. He went to the Pro Bowl twice. Wilbur Montgomery, he was fun to watch. Again, I got to see this guy a bunch because the Giants played them twice a year, so it's guaranteed to see him. Plus the Monday night games and stuff like that. I kind of remember him in college a little bit in his years in college, but I remember him. He was a beast. He was fun to watch. He was exciting to watch. He was in the era of the Dorsets and the Paytons, and again, such an amazing array of running backs in that era, the receivers in that era, the quarterbacks in that era, the kickers in that era, everything of the era, man. There's so many petals on that leaf, man, and you can go on and on. That's why it's when, especially when I'm doing these top fives. To me, sometimes I think it's going to be tough, but sometimes it's fucking easy. It's as easy as ABC. You might have a maybe a little battle within yourself between maybe a 2 or a 3 or a 3 or a 4, but usually your 5 and your number 1 is already set in your mind. Put everything. You put the books in between the bookends, basically. If you go back and you watch my Yankees top 5 of all time, I thought it was going to bobble my mind. But as soon as I sat down and started to get ready to do, the 5 guys just popped into my head. I just put them in order. I had a little argument with myself between 3 and 2, but the list is, 3 and 4, but the list is the list. But a guy like here, Wilbert Montgomery, great career, great running back. Probably won't make my running back top 5, but he's worth a mention because he was an element to the game. He changed the game. Strategy was around him in the running game of the Eagles at that time with Jaworski. And again, look at the division that this guy played in during his time. And in his time, let's not forget that the St. Louis Cardinals were in that Eastern Division too. So you're playing the Cardinals twice, the Eagles twice, the Cowboys twice, and the Giants twice. That was a brutal division of football, the NFC East. It's not as stout as it is, today as it was a few years ago or 10, 15 years ago. But that division was unmatched in the late 70s, and in the 80s, forget about it. And into the 90s, it was all right. Started losing its swagger a little bit as those characters left the NFL and retired and moved on. But for the most part, a guy like Wilbert Montgomery coming to town, people got excited. He was fun to watch. Howard Carmichael, Mike Quick, Dempsey was on that team for a short time also. But you had Jaws. You had an incredible They had an incredible run in 80. It was 80, 81, I think. But they ran into the Raiders that year, and the Raiders weren't having any of that in that Super Bowl. They shut them down. I think it was 27-10. I think that game was. That was a big game. Plunkett had a big game that year. I believe that was Super Bowl. I want to say Super Bowl 15, something like that. I don't remember what Super Bowl. But anyway, yeah, Wilbert Montgomery, our spotlight player of the week, along with our top 5 punters. There it is. So Super Bowl loss. Super Bowl 15 lost to the Raiders 27-10. He had 16 attempts, 44 yards. His longest was 8. He had 9 receptions he had 6 receptions for 91 yards. You know, 25 on 1. That was it for the Super Bowl for the Eagles. They had a good team, but Dick Vermeil ran into Flores, and that was the end of it. That was, you know, they went up against a tough Raider team for sure. So there you have it, folks. The top 5 punters of all time, and our honorable mention of Wilbert Montgomery. We really appreciate him. So, as we get ready to wrap up, we will be back tomorrow night at a more reasonable time. Be back around, let's see here. I think 4:45 Pacific time, a little bit before the game goes on. We'll be on. And we'll be coming to you with the pregame before the Niners and Rams. So until tomorrow night, I hope you liked the show. If you did, thumbs up, like, share, follow. You could help the show. Remember, Cash App, PayPal. It's all in the descriptions. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Hope you enjoyed the show, folks. I really enjoyed bringing it to you. It was a lot of work. And a lot of research. So remember, when you come up to the 3rd floor, remember to bowl up, to bong up, and then beam on up to the 3rd floor. And we'll be hanging out, waiting for you. Just chilling, waiting, hanging, time and space. Love you. Peace.